The MAGA Project 2025 agenda poses a direct and existential threat to the future every single one of us know is possible.
This is Milwaukee. We show up.
A second Trump term would put everything we've organized for, good jobs, fair wages, health care, retirement security, worker safety, on the chopping block.
What's outrageous? What's disgusting? Union busting. What's disgusting? Union busting.
Their plan would target unions like mine who stand up for public schools, so billions could go to unaccountable private voucher schools, which have been a disaster in Wisconsin.
Right up the street from where we're standing, some of our identities and communities were being attacked. Not here, not in Milwaukee, and not in November.
Our council is made up of labor unions that represent approximately 23,000 workers in the metro area. The disastrous policies contained in Project 2025
shows their plans to turbocharge anti-worker policies, eliminate or control unions, and eviscerate labor laws and workers' contracts. They were trying to present a kinder, gentler platform, but we know that Project 2025 is tied to both President Trump and to J.D. Vance. It would change the rules radically about how unions are organized. It would make it harder to have an election. It would take longer to have it certified. The state could just break apart existing unions with very little provocation. Wage rules, which are federal wage rates called Davis-Bacon, which sets a platform for construction work across the country, that would be repealed. The quality of construction jobs would change drastically, just at a time when, in contrast, the Biden administration has been trying to get more and more people into these jobs because they are career pathways with good benefits and retirement security. The Republican policy agenda favors corporations over workers. Project 2025 has 36 pages on the Department of Labor alone, and I hope any construction worker listening knows that that means that your job would be turned into a lower paying job with fewer benefits, firing thousands of federal workers and replacing them with people who pass a loyalty test. A plan to allow for state waivers of the Fair Labor Standards Act, meaning adherence to national overtime rules or minimum wage laws become optional. Weekends and 40-hour work week might become a thing of the past. We know that what they're doing endangers safety regulations, gutting OSHA, changing the National Labor Relations Board to be headed by an anti-union lawyer who was trying to change case law to destabilize unions. We have 4 years of Trump experience, and we can only assume that if reelected, he would take that platform and push everything to the nth degree.
I found that it was a disgusting evening last night where Donald Trump criticized all of the people here in Milwaukee. When he talked about a democratically elected labor leader in Shawn Fain, he said that he wanted to fire him. That's not democracy.
This really is democracy at stake.
How is everyone feeling after that?
WEAC has a really good relationship with labor. I myself come out of labor and student organizing and worked for SEIU, and so we've been able to always kind of maintain those really great relationships. We win these elections by folks being able to educate folks.
We know about the Heritage Foundation in Wisconsin because they wrote the draconian welfare reform law that came into effect in the late 80s here. So you really have to look at the track records. Trump talked about infrastructure for 4 years and nothing happened. Joe Biden got elected, and in a very short turnaround, he got a bipartisan infrastructure deal with $1 trillion of investment for our friends in steel, the auto industries, and construction. There's work for decades to come, and that's because of what Democrats did, not because of what Republicans did.
Thanks for being here.
If we stand together and remember all the different freedoms that we're fighting for, I do think that we'll pull it off in November. And we want to grow. If you want to unionize your workplace, reach out to us. We have resources. We can help you.
This is
what Milwaukee's like. We don't take crap from the Republicans.
Arab, Jewish, black, and white.
Workers of the world unite.
Wisconsin is a fighting state. I teach part-time at a community college here, so I'm also a union man. So I'm here because, you know, the Republicans attack all of me.
We chant, like, get up, get down. Milwaukee is a union town, and that's very true. My father works for Harley Davidson. Wait, let me look at the keychain. It's a little keychain. He works as a machinist over there. My family has a robust history working in factories, in unions. We need to stand up for labor rights for these workers. Funny thing growing up, like, I would always have, like, Harley gear. And there's a picture of me from like the 120th anniversary. I'm like 2 years old in like leather and stuff. Like I would be growing up, coming home. My dad was asleep because he was gonna go to work at like 3 a.m. I'm gonna go to the factory, the third shift. That culture, I'm so used to it, and I didn't realize like how different of a household I grew up in because of that until I like started talking to people like, oh, so not everyone's, you know, dad like has the uniform and like comes home a little greasy sometimes, and like mandatory overtime, has to go on strike sometimes. My grandmother, she came up from Mississippi and just got right to work. So it's like my whole family on my dad's side, it's so much factory, working class history here that I've been great to like tap into for sure.
We know that the people carry the truth, and we gotta promote that truth no matter what. It's gonna take the vast majority of us, because there's way more of us than there are of the enemy that are trying to stomp us with their boots.
People like Scott Walker have trampled on the rights of workers for decades, and those policies are still in effect today. The UW system slashing multiple satellite campuses right here outside of Milwaukee, slashing DEI funds. The reactionary UW President Jay Rothman calling for our heads for our involvement in the encampment.
From Palestine to Mexico! From Palestine to Mexico! All these walls have got to go!
We are part of the International Indigenous Youth Council, and we are here to unite with others to stop the genocide in Gaza.
Proud history of the labor movement here in Milwaukee. And not too long ago, we commemorated the Bayview Massacre when people were marching to defend and to advocate for the 8-hour workday, and they were massacred for that by police agents of the state as private security forces. May Day, the big May Day strike, which was led by Voces de la Frontera, and the Students for Democratic Society participated in that.
In Wisconsin, we are a dairy state ran by immigrants, and with the name-calling and the stereotypes of immigrants, and not recognizing that without immigrants in Wisconsin and in the country, we would not be running the economy. Most of the undocumented immigrants work in dairy farms. Some of them work in factories that produces our famous cheese that we have here in Wisconsin. Without the undocumented immigrants that are working in these fields, that are working in these farms, we wouldn't be producing what this state is known for. As we've seen in the pandemic, that those that were affected were essential workers, and those that are essential workers are undocumented, that do not qualify for government aid and had to work during a pandemic while others could stay home and still get a check so that they don't have to be working out during a crisis. We are writing how we feel about the current elections. I wrote motivated. As we know, Wisconsin is a swing state. It was really the Latino vote that got Biden in office. We had over 20,000 votes. Most of them were new voters that have been approached by Voces staff, and we needed to change the administration. We mobilized the most we've ever mobilized for an election so that we can turn Wisconsin blue, and we did.
Good evening, Milwaukee!
Wisconsin has a history of promoting the worker, and I'm a teacher. I was very affected by Act 10 in Wisconsin, where we lost our rights to collectively bargain. Kamala Harris supports teachers, workers.
We need unions. I don't know if anybody is really paying attention to how much power they have when they're an employed person.
Very much in favor for the repeal of Act 10 here in the state of Wisconsin.
We will move forward. Just like Wisconsin's state motto tells us, forward!
We can do this as one united front.
So Wisconsin, today I ask, are you ready to have your voices heard?
in Wisconsin know what happens when we have a right to work law that squelches the unions and makes workers less powerful. Our wages go down, our power goes down as workers, and that's not who we are as Wisconsinites. Kamala Harris will bring that back for us.
Tammy and also Kamala are staunch backers of union rights, and I appreciate the efforts that they are making.
She represents us. I feel like she really cares.
Wisconsin is the Midwestern spirit of workers, and to identify a candidate that thinks about workers is very important to us.
And when we fight, we win! God bless you.
We definitely can win a ticket. We just got to make sure we get feet on the ground and get people to pay attention to what they actually have to lose.
With the culture here in America, and everybody's relearning and reconnecting to each other now.
That's what really scares bigots and racists, is when they see people coming together. For whatever reason, they're fearful of that. The truth is that people only want to be connected. They only want to have strong communities in a place where their children can grow and prosper and be a part of a greater network of community. But to want homogeny, to want everything to be the same, to me, that's un-American.